But God bless the child whose God is on, whose God is on. Morty, you got lots of friends crowding round your door.
So we're very excited. This is the last day of her first solo show, and we'd like to start off with an artist talk. So we're going to be having a conversation about the artist, about her work. We will also be open to questions from the audience if you guys have anything you'd like to talk about or to bring up. Our moderator here is going to be the fabulous Amelia A. Amelia A is a multi-dimensional New York. Period.
Yes.
That's our deal. But I guess to introduce Kanami, also something we want to keep in mind is that there is a charity performance happening later today, and at 8 p.m. it's going to be to support the Noto Peninsula earthquake, which we'll have a little bit of conversation about as well.
I'm gonna have a performance with guest performers, David and Manami, and all the donations I collect from today will go to support the victims of Noto Peninsula earthquake. And this earthquake happened on the New Year's Day of 2024. So in Japan, New Year's Day is like one of the most important national holidays, and like traditionally people really celebrate that day.
Yeah.
So in the morning, people are in a celebration mood and like, yes, New Year 2024, Happy New Year. And later in the day, pretty big earthquake happened in a certain area. And so what I heard is like, rather than the earthquake itself, a lack of supplies really killed many people, unfortunately, because of this like peninsula shape,
で読ませていただきたいと思います。道路やライフラインは少しずつ復旧しておりますが、被災された方々の生活や文化、経済状況はこれからとても長い時間をかけて取り戻していくこととなります。皆様にも今後とも変わらずご支援賜りますようお願い申し上げます。また、草島様の個展がご盛況となりますようお祈り申し上げます。温かいメッセージをいただきました。Now I'm gonna read in English. Roads and lifelines are being restored little by little, but it will take a very long time to recover people's daily lives, culture, and economic conditions of those affected. We sincerely ask for your continued support. Also, I would like to wish Ms. Kusajima that her solo exhibition will be a success. Thank you very much, Hokuriku Charity Restaurant.
Being buried there, and it's very dark and very visceral, and the energy in that park I think really reflects that. And I'm only saying this because we're in New York right now. Like if we were somewhere else, maybe we could focus on a different landscape. But is there a type of feeling in that park? Is there anything that you feel in your body, and do you think that it is reflected in the movements when you're in Washington Square Park?
Compared to other locations?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So There are many reasons why I love Washington Square Park particularly, but I mean, one big reason is, of course, that's the place where I started, performing on the street, and like since the day one, that's my home. I feel like as a performance artist, that community around Washington Square Park really supported me, and almost I feel like I was raised by them. Sometimes I notice this like a grandma sitting on the walker and watching me. I don't know her name even, but like she's just quietly present all the time, and she even sometimes sends me some upload quietly, and then by the time I realize again, like she just like she left quietly, and then like where is she, so I really love that like intimate connections with people over there. And also another thing I can share is Washington Square Park was graveyard many years ago, maybe and then originally I heard about that story from a pianist. His name is Andrew, the pianist. You know that. Yeah, he's also a very genuine, sweethearted person. And he told me about it. At that time, I didn't know that. And I go, oh, really? And he was like, yeah, exactly. Like so many bodies breathe underneath this park, and those plants and trees in the park, they're taking nutrition from those like buried bodies underneath the park, and then now we're receiving all those energies from underneath the ground, from the trees around. So we were kind of smiling at each other, like that makes sense. That's why we feel something special here.
Yeah. I love when you were talking about there are different ways to go from like A to B in a movement, and I feel like you were describing, I was connecting with, maybe sometimes it's emotion, right? It's not necessarily like a formal, you're not creating a shape necessarily, but it's expressive of something else. And I wonder how much of your dance, is it always coming from a heart-centered, like emotional place? Do you approach dance from a more intellectual place, or is it a combination? I would assume it's a combination, but I don't know.
Well, I think my focus shifts in between, as you say. Like sometimes I'm more focusing like on my own body, like more like internally focusing, almost like I'm more aware of like my hands, or like even inside like bones and like cells, and then like, or like how's my body doing? Is it sore today? I don't know. Sometimes I feel tired than other times. Sometimes I feel more flexible than other times, and I'm also like talking with my own body as well.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But sometimes Washington Square Park is a very stimulating, exciting place. So outside information also inspires me a lot too. So sometimes I chase a group of pigeons flying above me, and they're like, hey, how are you? That's something coming from outside, right? Or like sometimes this like little 5-year-old girl, and like coming very like curiously, and then like I also look in, like like we look at each other and like we sometimes dance together. So I'm reacting to the outside environment too. So yeah, it's really like in and out constantly. Travel from one point to another, and then like we can try different ideas. Like, is it like more naturally, or more like sharp, or more like I don't know, like seizure type of shape?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then also like we had classmates to each other, so like we were able to inspire each other and like trying each other's ideas. And also, once you got out of college, it's not easy to get a group of dancers for your own choreography piece, for example.
If you picked up improvisation, and if there are skills that you picked up in school, because the way that you're talking about reacting with your environment, it seems like very participatory, and I don't feel like school can necessarily prepare you to interact with the park and everything that happens in Washington Square Park. You know, like there's a lot of energies and personalities, and you know, how much did your education and the foundation that you got at SUNY Purchase, how did that kind of inform you?
Right. But I do think, I mean, even though obviously, for example, for the company dancers, whoever the dancers in the companies, so the skills required for them is very different from the skills I have. That's what I feel like, because if you are in a company most of the time, you need to execute a choreography.
It's repetitive too, right?
Yeah, given from somebody else and rehearsing over and over and making it to the point when it's perfect enough to present in front of the audience. So that's their profession, but my specialty is different directions. It's not about which is better or worse type
They're
of
different.
conversation. It's just very different paths. And college was more for company dancers, right? Because that's their mission. And Manami will join a little later, but Manami, you can stand up, please. Yeah. I'm very excited to have them tonight. And the first song, me and David performed together. And
Thank you.